Hello, I'm Regina McCann-Hess, President of Forge Wealth Management, and welcome to our Women in Wealth series. Today, we're going to take a walk down the educational side, and we're going to talk about reducing debt and how it takes commitment and patience. So thank you for joining me on this journey today. I know it's not a fun topic, but it's something that we all kind of have brushed with. So no one wants debt, but just about everyone has it. So it's easy to get into and hard to get out of. And it's important too, because when we're talking to clients about their financial planning and their future, we talk about the investments, but we also talk about the other side of the balance sheet. And the other side of the balance sheet is very important to your financial planning goals. So if we can talk about this debt and make some segue into that, then it's good for everybody. Also, the good news is that regardless of the cause or the amount of your debt, there are steps you can take to manage it and overcome it. First, you need to remember that there's generally no quick way to get out of debt. Solving your debt dilemma typically requires time and effort, and that's the case for anything that's important. It takes time and effort, and you have to put that into it to make it happen for yourself. Additionally, you may want to address your debt sooner so that you may not be paying more later. Well, so when we're trying to reduce debt, let's talk about an 8-step game plan. Let's look at the first step. Take control right now. There may be no better time than the present to reduce your debt. But before you do anything, you want to evaluate your financial records to determine your income and your expenses. In one column, you want to list your regular monthly income, such as salaries and pensions. In the second column, you're going to list all of your expenses. You want to start with the major expenses, such as a mortgage or rent, utilities, food, transportation, and of course, your credit card payments. You should also include any additional cash expenditures, as well as expenses that occur other than monthly, like your property taxes and insurance payments that you have to make. The second step is going to be create a budget. There's a famous saying, if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. And it's a common expression, and it also applies to your finances. So based on your income and expenses, you should plan and establish a budget that helps you allocate money for all of your categories of spending. Look over everything and consider eliminating unnecessary costs. Those are not fun conversations to have with yourself. You may want to have a column of wants versus needs and take that approach. You might want to ponder the following questions to help you out. Why not eat at home instead of dining out? How about renting movies rather than going to the theater, which right now is pretty easy because, it's kind of hard to go to a theater. And as you go about creating your budget, include the entire family in the process so that, they better understand what you're trying to do and understand the financial situation, and everybody's on board with the plan. And you want to re-examine the numbers with them and look for ways to increase income while trimming expenses. For instance, can another member of the family take a job? If you're renting, is it feasible to move to a less expensive rental apartment? These are questions that only you can answer. Step 3, let's pay off some of those credit cards. Consider eliminating credit card debt as one of your top priorities because paying it off can give you flexibility. If you're stretched to the limit right now, that means you don't have a margin for error. There's no room to maneuver in an emergency. Paying down the debt allows you to free up some of your cash flow for other things. One great way to reduce credit card debt is to pay more than the minimum. Now, honestly, when I'm talking to my clients or anybody that comes into me for planning, one of my golden rules is you never just pay the minimum payment on a credit card. Ideally, you want to pay that credit card off every month. But if you're in a situation where you have a balance, obviously that may not be feasible for you. So you want to look at what the balance is, what the minimum payment is, and see if there's an in-between where you can pay more and figure out how many months it's going to take you to pay that debt off. Don't just settle for a low number on your bill, because you have to figure a way, can I pay more? Otherwise, you're never going to get rid of that credit card debt. If you can, then you want to consider doing that. Also, remember to pay your credit card bills on time. So paying late is another debt sin that you want to avoid. One, you get hit with unnecessary late fees, but also it could ding your credit report. So just be careful of that. Step 4, let's reduce the number of credit cards you have. You should also consider having only a few credit cards and making sure that they have the lowest rates available. Don't be afraid to shop around and consolidate your credit card debt by transferring to 1 or 2 cards to get a better rate. 5, consider not taking on additional debt. Remember, what got you in trouble was taking on debt. So handle what you have first before you start adding to your debt. You can do this by resolving that you will only use your credit cards for emergencies over a certain period, say 6 months. So I commit for the next 6 months, I'm only going to use my credit card for emergencies. For other purchases, you can use cash or a debit card, and that keeps you in line with your budget a lot closer than a credit card will. Finally, credit card debt should be distinguished from so-called good debt, such as a mortgage. That can be seen as a beneficial because it could be tax deductible, and it also can be a financial asset. So there's bad debt and there's good debt. So you want to just differentiate the two. Step 6, you want to contact your creditors. If you find yourself in dire consequences, you want to speak directly with the organizations to which you owe money, because they may be willing to arrange a payment schedule that should enable you to temporarily reduce your monthly contributions or help you create a payment plan to pay that balance off. Now, if you're in your home and you're in a financial crisis, you may want to ask your mortgage company about a forbearance agreement, which can lower or eliminate payments for a set period of time. And I know with the pandemic, and the quarantine and the global economic shutdown that we've experienced over the many past months, many people have had to reach out and do this because they've lost their jobs. And, it doesn't hurt to ask. Just pick up that phone and call the mortgage company. If that is going to help you in this situation, then take the steps to do what you need to do. Step 7, let's consider credit counselors. You may opt to get help with your situation rather than handling the details yourself. Assistance is available for little or no cost through some government programs or credit counseling services that will work with you to develop a long-term plan to pay off debt. Some of the debt that you have may be able to be paid off in a couple months, and other forms of debt, it may take you a few years, but if you create a plan for it, it may be a little bit easier to approach it. So if you're using some of those services, though, just know that it's a possibility that that may have a negative impact on your credit rating. So just be aware of that if you enter into any agreements with credit counseling services. You may want to consult an investment professional for input and advice. You may also want to ask friends and relatives for recommendations on investment professionals or contact professional associations, such as the Financial Planning Association. They may have some suggested contacts for you on their website. Step 8, stay vigilant. Once you've reduced or even paid off your balances, remember to guard against incurring debt again. If you lack the self-discipline to do that, consider phasing out your credit cards and using debit cards instead. Debt management is a continual process, so you need to stay on top of your situation and try to keep more of your money. Today, speaking about debt is not a fun topic, but we all do need to address it. And some key points that I want you to remember are that the sooner you address your debt, the sooner you can begin to do something about it. Also, developing a budget and sticking to it is a good way to get a handle on your finances. And lastly, you need to pay attention to your credit cards. How many do you have? How much debt have you accumulated on each one of those? Pay attention, look at those bills, pay more than that minimum every month. Develop a plan to get rid of that credit card debt. So I want to thank you for watching our Women in Wealth series. For more information, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at Forge Wealth, and on LinkedIn at Regina McCann Hess. Also, if you have any topics that you would like us to address on our series, please email them to me at reginahess@forgewealth.com, where we would be happy to have some input on our topics and be glad to cover some more good educational topics for you. Have a great day. Thank you.